Hey guys, so I decided to make a video because I want to tell you guys a story. I've been watching some YouTube videos, some other vloggers, and I noticed that, um, sorry, I noticed that one of them had made something about a story when she was sick, and I had kind of an amusing story that happened to me once. When I was I went to a program, kind of like a private boarding school for people who kind of get out of high school but need to get a job and don't know exactly what they're going to do with their life. And I thought, that seems like a cool thing for me because I really don't know what I'm going to do with my life. Well, as my good friends know, it didn't turn out very well, but about the first 2 weeks I was there, they're watching you. They're trying to get to know you, who you are, how you work, so they can help you out with some issues. Well, during this time, I had a bunch of kids who are really crazy. Not crazy. Well, some of them maybe, but were very, spoiled. Kind of brats, maybe is a good word. Anyway, and so they had to be very careful as to what people did and who people were, and a lot of them would lie. They were liars, so they're trying to get to know me. Well, I started to feel kind of off. It was late summer, and I had kind of like a sore throat. I'll get these white patches in my throat that generally, and my tonsil will swell up, and I'll kind of know I'm going to get sick. Well, my lymphatic system. So I'm sitting there, just doing what I do. I was walking around trying to get moving, and sure enough, the next day I woke up, I wasn't feeling good. Well, when I get sick, if I'm sick enough to be in bed, I stay in bed. But if I'm not quite sick enough to be in bed, but now I'm too sick to do everything, to do other things, like when you sit down on in front of the couch and watch TV all day, kind of sick, not like must stay in bed, like high fever sick, but low fever sick. Well, I had one of those, and it was just a cold. I mean, stuffy cough, nothing really bad, but unfortunately, I didn't stay in bed, but I insisted I was sick. And they thought I wasn't. They were convinced that I was lying to get out of doing the chores and everything, and that I was just being a pansy or whatever. And I told them I wasn't, but they didn't believe me, and I wasn't quite sure why they didn't believe me. Of course, I later found out, but the main point was I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, I'm sick, and they're like, yeah, go do this. You still need to clean up your dishes. You still gotta do this. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But it was because I wasn't in bed. I was sick enough to not do anything, but I couldn't just stay in bed all day. And so I was like, really, people? Really? Okay. So I stayed in bed for a while, and I got up, and I did this, and I did that. And everyone was calling me a whiner, and the staff were going, oh my gosh, you're such a baby. And you really, they were giving me these looks like disappointed and all this stuff. And one of the people felt my head, and they're like, oh, you don't have a fever, blah, blah, blah. No, you're fine. And I said, I'm not fine, but okay. Finally, the next day, was it the next day? It was later on in the afternoon that day, and I've been sitting around getting all this crap from everyone, and I said, I need to cook some soup, so I'll make my own soup. And I asked for the ingredients, but they wouldn't. They did that whole thing where they're like, oh, well, you're sick, so you can't do anything. And I'm like, I'm not that sick. I'm sick enough that I don't need to be doing stuff and resting, but not sick enough I can't take care of myself. I'm not an invalid sick. But they did that thing where they're like, well, if you're sick, we're going to treat you like you're sick and not let you do anything. You got to stay in your room, and you can't do anything fun because you need your rest. And I'm like, do people really do that? Because I guess there are people who, when their kids are sick, they're like, you can't do anything. Anyway, long story short, well, it's kind of turning into a long story. These people, they go along, and later that day, towards the end of the day, they have the conference call with my parents. And she asks, does he pretend like he's sick a lot to, get attention? And my mom's like, no, if he says he's sick, he's sick. He doesn't do that. He doesn't like to be sick. He doesn't pretend to be sick. If he says he's sick, he's sick. And then they went and got me all the ingredients I needed for soup, and they actually got me Kleenexes, and they actually were like, oh, you're really sick. And then she felt my head again and goes, she's like, well, I don't really think you're, and then she did, and she's like, maybe you are sick. And then they locked the house down and like, nobody go near him and don't, and I'm sitting there laughing my ass off because I'm not that sick. I just have a cold, you know, and the next day I wake up kind of crappy and I kind of have a low-grade fever for like, 2 days or something. And then I'm done. I'm okay. And these other people are like flipping their crap out. And I'm like, they're like, don't get near me. And I'm like, I have a freaking cold for... Anyway. That was the first time I was sick away from home other than, without my family. And I've been sick since. And I'm like, when you're sick, I just stay in bed. I've never been one to have people dote on me and do things for me. I mean, if I'm sick enough I have to stay in bed, then yeah, I might need someone to, bring me some food or bring me some water every couple of hours. But maybe medication so I don't go touching everything. But I don't need to be, like doted upon. I'm capable of taking care of myself. If I'm not, that's different. But generally, if I need something, I can get out and do it. It was just a pretty bad experience. And I ended up leaving there because I was just tired of the whole program. But anyway, that's the story of when I was sick at school or whatever you want to call it. So, hope you enjoyed it. It wasn't as funny as I thought it would be, but I shared it. So, bye.